Hello guys and welcome to MotorBeam. This is the Royal Enfield Guerrilla 450 and into this video we are going to compare with every possible motorcycle in India. So let's find out which one is a better pick for you. Before we begin, subscribe to MotorBeam and don't forget to hit the bell icon. Before we start the comparison, we are going to make sections of all the motorcycles according to your comparison requirements. So if you're comparing with one motorcycle, the other motorcycle, over here in the YouTube bar, you can select whatever comparison you want to see and it will become easier for you. So I'm comparing Guerrilla with multiple other motorcycles, not bringing in all together at once. Before we begin the comparison, let me tell you that the Himalayan का derivative ही है motorcycle. It is same as a Himalayan, but then riding में इसका इंजन पावर एंड आउटपुट में बहुत ज़्यादा डिफरेंस है. द वे दिस मोटरसाइकिल राइड्स, इट हैंडल्स सुपर्बली. द अमाउंट ऑफ फीडबैक यू गेट फ्रॉम द हैंडल बार, इट इज़ इनसेन. इट जस्ट handles like a beauty. This is one of the most aggressive motorcycles you will ever buy and the best handling you will ever get from a Royal Enfield, and this is me saying it right outright because ये clear है that the balance that the chassis has with the suspension setup and everything, it is perfect to push the motorcycle. Even if you want to go little bit off road, थोड़ा gravel patches चलेगा, but anything more than that will be a little too much to ask for because suspension travel is not too much and the suspension setup is hard. The amount of feedback that you get from the suspension, यूके के रोड्स जो बार्सिलोना के रोड्स थे, दे वर ब्रिलियंट टू राइड ऑन, बट थोड़े भी उबड़ खाबड़ आए तो यू विल फील अ लॉट ऑफ फीडबैक. नाउ if you compare it with the Himalayan has a longer travel suspension, more wheelbase, it is a taller motorcycle, it is heavier too, and 11 kgs ka difference you will definitely feel because the motorcycle is accessible at just 780 mm. Now let's compare it to the Speed 400 क्योंकि roadster है तो Speed 400 comparison it is a must to do because at the price point the Speed 400 comes at 2,80,000-85,000 and that is only standard variant, while the price of the Guerrilla is 2,90,000 for the analog, which is the base variant, and it goes up to 3,05,000, 3,10,000 for the top end variant. Both the motorcycles are single cylinder and liquid cooled, but the major difference is the power output. पावर दोनों में 40 bhp के आसपास है, 39.5, 39.4. Literally it is the same at the 8,000 rpm, but then the torque difference is almost 3 Newton meters. The Triumph, however, produces little less torque at 3 less Newton meters compared to that of the Guerrilla, but then यहाँ पे weight advantage मिल जाता है, which is almost 9 kgs lighter compared to that of the Guerrilla. Plus it gets 110, 150 section tires and they lean in very nicely. So if you talk to me about the grip levels from both the motorcycles and the easiness to ride, the Triumph is actually comparatively easier compared to that of the Guerrilla, but Guerrilla is fast and very nimble too. The Guerrilla has a ground clearance of close to 169 mm and Triumph का भी almost 170 के आसपास आ जाता है. So ground clearance with both the motorcycles are almost the same, but then the seat height difference is for 10 mm, 790 for the Speed, 780 for the Guerrilla. So if you want little more accessibility and थोड़ा सा ज़्यादा space compared to the Speed, the Guerrilla has more space for you. The fuel tank capacity of the Triumph is also better at 13 liters compared to 11 liters on the Guerrilla. The suspension on the front, both the motorcycles have this exact same travel, 140 mm ka, but the Guerrilla gets a normal telescopic fork while the Triumph is a upside down fork setup. So overall you will get a better feel feedback on the USDs, but then again the rear suspension का travel मैं बोलूँ तो Speed 400 का it is only 130 mm while you get almost 150 mm with a linkage suspension on the Guerrilla. The tires are obviously thicker and better on the Guerrilla and you get better brakes also. 300 mm on the Triumph, 310 mm at the front on the Guerrilla, 230 mm at the rear on the Triumph, 270 mm at the rear on the Guerrilla. So yes, the braking feedback and everything else is much better on the Guerrilla. But then there's one thing that you don't get on the Guerrilla, and that is traction control that is there on the Speed 400, and that adds up to a lot of benefits. So if you're pushing the motorcycle, if you're on slippery surfaces, there are times when the rear, even though it's a thick tire, rear tends to step out on the Guerrilla, while the same case on the Triumph it will be much more safer. You don't get any kind of connectivity features, but यहाँ पे Guerrilla का जो top 2 models है, which is a little pricier, you get Google Maps connectivity, you get a complete digital cluster, while on the Triumph you get an analog digital cluster unit and it is a decent unit. Both the motorcycles you get a USB charging option, so it is beneficial if you are going touring, if you are mounting your camera or anything, or if you want to charge your phone, that won't be a problem at all. Now let's add the Scrambler 400 in this mix. Scrambler 400 is just the Speed 400 with better suspension setup. The benefits are the same of the Triumph Speed 400. Additional benefit is that the suspension travel on the Scram is a little bit more, plus you get a bigger wheel, that is a 19-inch wheel up front, although slimmer tires on the Scram compared to that of the Guerrilla, but then again यहाँ पे थोड़ा सा ट्रेड पैटर्न अलग मिल जाता है, एंड इफ यू वांट टू गो लिटिल बिट ऑफ रोडिंग ऑल्सो एंड यू वांट टू गो राइडिंग थ्रू द ट्रेल्स, यू विल हैव मच मोर फन एंड कंफर्ट on the Scram compared to that of the Guerrilla. Scram also gets a split seat setup जो आपको Guerrilla में नहीं मिलता, तो split seat का benefit भी आ जाता है, plus the seats are little more chunkier, thicker and offer little more comfort, although space is not too much compared to the Guerrilla. Now the disadvantage of the Scram compared to the Guerrilla is that Scram is way too tall. 835 mm की seat height मिलती है आपको, which is just too much. And then if we mention the weight, both the motorcycles, the Guerrilla and the Scram, they weigh exactly the same. Guerrilla is at 185, the Scram is also at 185, so weight difference is not at all. अगर आपकी height कम है, don't go for the Scrambler at all, because here the Guerrilla makes sense for you. It is way more powerful, it is fun motorcycle for the city. Now roadster kind of a motorcycle अभी हीरो की तरफ से भी आती है, Mavrick 440, and now you get the Harley-Davidson X440 also. तो ये दोनों मोटरसाइकिल को गोरिल्ला के साथ कंपेयर करते हैं, and to be honest with you guys, the Mavrick 440 starts at the on-road cost of 250 to 280 or 290,000 rupees. The on-road cost of Guerrilla is 290 to 310,000 rupees, and the on-road cost of the Harley-Davidson, it starts from 310,000 rupees to almost 335, 340,000. If you are price conscious, you will prefer the Mavrick. It is a very good city motorcycle, simple, comfortable, no stress at all. But if you want something that's fun, fast, a bit roadster, a bit standout motorcycle, then you can consider the Guerrilla. And if you want a brand value, like naam chahiye, only then consider the Harley-Davidson. Let's talk about the performance first. Most performing, most torquey, best engine right over here is with the Guerrilla. 452cc liquid cooled 40 bhp 40 newton meters, तो एकदम sorted है. यहाँ पे with the Mavrick 440 you get a little less power, quite a bit less power, that is 27 bhp only with a 440cc engine, and then you get just 36 newton meters of torque. So torque थोड़ा कम है लेकिन power काफ़ी ज़्यादा कम है. For the Harley-Davidson, you get the same power as the Mavrick, which is 27 bhp, but you get a little extra torque, that is 38, which is almost as close to that of the Guerrilla. But then there is a weight difference also. Guerrilla weighs only 185 kgs, Mavrick weighs 187 pe, while the Harley-Davidson weighs little more at 190.5, or you can say it 190 only. The seat height accessibility is also the best in the Guerrilla. यहाँ पे you get 780 mm, Mavrick is close to 803 mm, and the Harley-Davidson 805 mm. Although the comfort on both the Hero and Harley, the seats are just brilliant. You get front set footpegs, not center set. It is not as aggressive. The riding structure is a lot more comfortable on both the Hero and the Harley-Davidson motorcycle. It is a little bit engaging, yet you have to be with the motorcycle all the time, and you will feel the length of the motorcycle on the Guerrilla, जबकि Mavrick and Harley-Davidson आपको काफ़ी compact लगेगी and will not be too intimidating as the Guerrilla is. The tires again are the best and the chunkiest. You already know the numbers. You get 110 front and 150 rear on 17-inch wheels on the Mavrick. You get 100 front and 140 rear on the Harley-Davidson, but you get an 18-inch wheel which is an offset, plus diamond cut का design भी मिल जाता है, and you get a spoke wheel का option also in the base variant of the Harley-Davidson. So that is a definite retro looking motorcycle, spoke wheels, bright colors. You get an option seat of a brown seat also. Brakes wise also you get 320 mm disc at the front on Hero and the Harley, while it's a 310 mm on the Guerrilla, 240 on both the Harley and the Hero, but a 270 on the Guerrilla. So the braking feedback, overall braking effect will be much more sharper on the Guerrilla because you will tend to go faster with more performance on offer. All the three motorcycles get dual channel ABS as standard, तो उसका बिल्कुल टेंशन लेना नहीं है आपको. लेकिन यहाँ पे मेजर डिफरेंस इज द क्लस्टर. Mavrick में आपको कुछ स्पेशल क्लस्टर नहीं मिलता. It's a simple cluster giving basic amount of details, and it's a very tiny unit. If you stick to the analog variant of the Guerrilla, you will get some basic details just like the cluster and everything else. A tripper meter side में मिल जाता है, that's an additional cost. But if you get the higher variants, the dash or the flash, you will get a connectivity feature का option with Google Maps and everything, and a similar structure is on offer on the Harley-Davidson. Although the cluster is not as big and widespread, but you get navigation data, connectivity features, and all the telemetry data also that is there on the Harley-Davidson. So that is definitely beneficial, but that comes at an extra cost, which is already a little more compared to that what the Guerrilla is priced at. The availability of the Hero Mavrick is a lot more because you will get it at almost all the Hero showrooms, and you can service it at almost all the Hero showrooms. So that is a definite benefit. Guerrilla आपको Royal Enfield के सारे शोरूम में मिल जाएगी, सारे सर्विस सेंटर पे सर्विस कर सकते हो. The availability of the service centers for Harley-Davidson are limited right now, and the showrooms too. So if you like the Harley brand, you can definitely consider it, although not many people have bought it till date. But then again, here in comparison, thoda bahut features and matches, and it is coming down to a comparison which is definitely here for different roadsters. The next bit is with the Honda bikes. Now Honda bikes में आपको दो ऑप्शन अलग अलग मिल जाते हैं. One is the neo retro design I'm talking about, the CB300R, and the second option is the CB350 RS. Now these two motorcycles are quite different in terms of what the Guerrilla offers, but then again neo retro design and a similar price bracket. That is the reason I'm comparing with all the three. The pricing of the CB350 RS is सबसे कम right now, and CB350 में हाइनेस भी आती है, नॉर्मल CB350 भी आती है, बट वो दोनों एक रोडस्टर फील नहीं देती. दे आर लाइक काइंड ऑफ neo retro simple motorcycle. The roadster feel CB350 RS में मिल जाती है, and that's why I've got this motorcycle. And then CB300 के साथ there is CB300F as well as R, but the R gets a neo retro design. Again, that is the reason I've got this motorcycle here. Pricing की बात जैसे कर रहे थे, तो it starts from 2,30,000 to 2,50,000 or 2,60,000 for the top model of the CB350 RS. There is only one variant for the CB300R, and उसका price is somewhere close to 2,80,000 rupees. And then there is a Guerrilla which is 2,90,000 to 3,10,000 again. So pricing wise, if you want to get the most affordable Honda, that is the CB350. But then again, उसका power torque ये सब काफी ज़्यादा कम है. Let's talk about that. The 350 gets a 350cc motor which produces 20 bhp of power and 13 Nm of torque. The CB300R gets a little more power at 30 bhp but only 27 Nm of torque. And then there is the Guerrilla again. So compared to all the three motorcycles, the Guerrilla produces most power in the single cylinder category. Now the weight advantage is the maximum for the CB300R because it weighs only 146 kgs. 146, that's it. Little more heavier at 178, 179 kgs is the CB350 RS, and little more heavier is the Guerrilla at 185 kgs. So सबसे यहाँ पे heavy Guerrilla है, although it produces more power and torque, but it is still the heaviest. And if we talk about the seat height accessibility, 780 is still the lowest for the Guerrilla, 801 for the CB300 and 800 for the CB350 RS. वेट तो सबसे कम हो गया, लेकिन CB300 has the least amount of ground clearance at 157 mm. 165 to 168 is the ground clearance for the CB350 RS, and 169 is there for the Guerrilla. So Guerrilla has a better amount of ground clearance also, but then again the base panel जो है Guerrilla में वो प्लास्टिक का आता है, which is something that I don't like as much. The chunkiest tires again goes to the Guerrilla, but इसके पहले the chunky tire का नाम was with the CB350 RS because 150/70 section on a 17-inch rim, that was the chunkiest tire you could get in the current market right now in this segment. But now that has been taken over by the Guerrilla क्योंकि 160 आ जाता है उसमें. यहाँ पे you get a 19-inch wheel on the CB350 RS at front, but with a 100 section tire. So 100 section at front, 150 at the rear. CB300R gets a 110 front and a 150 rear. And then if you talk about the brakes, you get the same disc size on both the CB350 RS and the Guerrilla up front, but the rear disc is actually bigger. So overall bite का and जो braking का distance है, they are quite similar, but because of the weight benefit of the CB300R, the bike stops much more better and it has a overall better feedback in braking and handling and all of those. So ride करने में भी the CB300R is much more lighter, much more easier and much more quicker over the top, although it produces comparatively less power. So if you want a quick, fun, easy motorcycle, lightweight चाहिए, only then consider the CB300R. Otherwise, the CB350 RS is definitely a comfortable option. And then there is the option of the Guerrilla. All the three motorcycles over here gets a single piece seat setup. सबसे कम स्पेस मिलती है आपको CB300 में, थोड़ी ज़्यादा स्पेस मिलती है आपको CB350 RS में, and the same amount of space is available on the Guerrilla 450. Honda की ये दोनों मोटरसाइकिल में you don't get any extra features, no traction control वगैरह का, there is no nonsense as such. Dual channel ABS standard, and same is the case for the Guerrilla. Guerrilla का only benefit is the cluster, which is coming in the top two variants. CB300R का there's a very big problem, and that is 9.7 liters का fuel tank, and that's about it. You get 11 liters का fuel tank on the Guerrilla and 15 liters का fuel tank on the CB350 RS. So if you want to fill up and go the distance, CB350 will always provide you a little more to offer. Dynamically, all the motorcycles are fun to ride, but then again you definitely feel the weight on the Guerrilla because of the thicker tires too. But वो feel feedback तो अलग ही है, उसका एक मज़ा अलग ही आने वाला है. Let's compare this with the Husqvarna. Now, as we are comparing with the Husqvarna 401, not many people are buying the Husqvarna even now after the update because it is nothing but redesigned Duke 390, the latest iteration with the traction control and all of that. But then again, there is not much of a market for the neo retro design with the Husqvarnas going around. The one big problem with the Husqvarnas was the seat height, which has been addressed now. But then again, if you compare it with the Guerrilla, Husqvarna ka seat height is close to 820 mm, while the Guerrilla is at 780, making it a little more accessible. If we compare with the price, the top end model of the Guerrilla with all the features and everything, on-road cost is 3,10,000. You have to pay 40,000 more for the Husqvarna, but then again, you get a much more higher revving engine and much more power also. The Husqvarna gets a 399cc motor producing close to 43-44 bhp of power. The Guerrilla produces 40 bhp with a 450cc liquid cooled motor. And it produces 40 Newton meters, जब यहाँ पे you get 37 Newton meters. But then there is a weight difference too. The Husqvarna is 14 kgs lighter to that of the Gorilla, and that comes with advantage for acceleration and handling. Overall, the trellis frame, the design and everything is much more tighter, much more capable of that on the Husqvarna compared to that of the Gorilla. You get a 110 section tire up front and 150 rear with proper off-road block pattern tires on the Husqvarna, but you get similar pattern tires, but they are not deep blocks but dual purpose tires on the Gorilla. So if you want to go a little bit of off-roading or proper trail riding or sliding through dirt, at that moment you will get much more confidence on the Husqvarna compared to that of the Gorilla. Husqvarna also gets a traction control system, and you do not get connectivity features, but you get a basic cluster. You do not get traction control on the Gorilla, but you get connectivity features, and that comes to your advantage definitely. Earlier the Husqvarnas used to get a smaller fuel tank, but now with the update of the 401 you get a 13.5 liter fuel tank and you get 11 liters. Compared to the Husqvarna is definitely faster, quicker, much better handler. But then again, the seat height difference and the way the seat has been structured, it is not comfortable for longer durations. The seat is thinner compared to Gorilla. Gorilla has a much better seat setup, although it is not as spacious for rider as this pillion. But then single rider चलाने वाला है तो आपको Gorilla पे definitely मजा आएगा. The overall heating that we could feel from the Gorilla was not as much, but then again, if you ride for longer distances, it's a 450 liquid cooled and it will definitely throw out some heat to your legs. So if you compare with all the motorcycles that we compared right now, Husqvarna is a very good option, but that comes at an extra price. उसका आपको KTM की सर्विस थ्रू ही करना पड़ेगा. And if you like the design of the Husqvarna, there are only certain set of colors, तो वो एक option अलग हो जाता है. Gorilla gets a lot of colors like the silver, black, you get in the base variant, black plus one more color in the mid variant, and blue plus a yellow color in the top end variant. साथ में यहाँ पे आपको अगर completely lightweight चाहिए, like a retro design, lightweight, simple, sweet motorcycle, accessible at the same time, you can consider the Speed 400. If you want a little more Scrambler feel, जो Scrambler आपके लिए रुके थे, Gorilla नहीं कर पाई, तो वो Scrambler 400X में आपको डेफिनेटली मिल जाएगा. इफ़ यू लुकिंग फॉर द Hondas, इफ़ यू वांट अ लॉन्ग हॉल मोटरसाइकिल, आपको ऑफिस जाना है, आपको आराम से जाना है, वांट एक बार फ्यूल टैंक भरा, आप 10 ऑफिस का ट्रिप्स कर लिए, देन यू कैन कंसिडर द CB300R. इफ़ यू वांट समथिंग दैट्स सुपर लाइट वेट येट एक्सेसिबल, थोड़ी सी टॉल है एट 800 प्लस mm, 801 mm का सीट हाइट, so you can consider the CB300R. It is a motorcycle that not many people are buying, so you will definitely get a unique pick. If you're looking for the badge of the Harley-Davidson with the 440, there is a price to it, but that is something you can consider a little later. Mavrick is a very good option from Hero. Simple, sweet 440cc motorcycle, super accessible, no nonsense at all, comfortable as well. But then again, if you want outright performance and a balance of everything, like the Gorilla is a roadster that defines a lot of things. I am not comparing this with the Duke 390 because Duke 390 is a lot more powerful, 46 bhp and all of that, and that has a different design language too. Uska customer base hi pura alag hai. Gorilla is a roadster with a neo retro design, and यहाँ पे it get a performance output like no other. The way it handles, the way the feedback is there, the overall motorcycle, the Gorilla, it's something else to definitely look out for. So if you're out in the market, there are multiple options. If you have any other motorcycle to compare with the Gorilla, if you're still confused कि यार इतना सारा comparison देख लिया, now what to do, what should I buy, Dhanila has confused me even more. Let me know in the comments below. I will try and help you out, or you can DM me on Instagram. I will definitely help you get the best motorcycle for you, because this is a one-time purchase. You're not changing motorcycles each and every day, so ये one-time purchase में भी you should be happy with your bike. If you're still waiting for the Scram and want the Scram 450, उसका possibility आने वाला है, but it's gonna take a few more months, like quite some months, before the Scram 450 comes into picture. And until then, the Scram 411 will still be on sale. So I hope I have given you a good set of comparison with all the motorcycle with the Gorilla. If you still have any more doubts, like anything that's there, let me know in the comments below, and I'll try to help you out as quickly and in the best way possible. Thank you so much. I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye bye.